Today, let's understand the term autocrat, which is commonly used in political science. But when we finish this lecture, we will also be clear with other terms like monarch and monarchy, dictatorship and dictator, totalitarianism, and also the tyrant and the Democrat form of rulers. Let's start with understanding the origin of the term autocrat. Autocrat is derived from the two Greek words autos, self, and kratos, power or rule. So, the term autocrat means to rule without any restriction on one's authority. Now, let's understand what is the meaning of the term monarchy or monarch, dictatorship, and dictator. Monarchy is a form of government in which the ruler is called the monarch, whereas dictatorship is also a form of government in which the ruler is called a dictator. Now, still the confusion persists that why are we studying here? What is the relationship between autocracy, monarchy, and dictatorship? So, monarchy and dictatorship are the two types of autocracy. As we have understood, in autocracy, there is the self rule or the rule in which nobody is questioning your authority. You are the supreme. It takes two forms. One is monarchy and the other is the dictatorship. In monarchy, people willingly accept you as their ruler or they give authority over themselves to you. Whereas when this authority over people is taken forcefully, it takes the form of dictatorship. We can also say that monarchy is ancient form of autocracy and dictatorship is the modern form of autocracy. We can also explain the meaning of the dictator. It is derived from the Latin word which used to mean an official with absolute and unrestricted power to handle a crisis. So, what used to happen was that during the Roman Empire, an official was given an absolute power to handle a difficult situation. But that power was of temporary nature and it was given to him unquestioned for a limited time so that he is able to control a particular difficult situation. But with the passage of time, it took a negative meaning. Now, let's understand. So, we have so far understood what is autocracy, what are its two forms or types. Now, we need to understand the term totalitarianism. So, totalitarianism is a form of government in which the ruler or the person who is in charge of governing takes control over the social and economic aspects of the people. It is a modern type of autocracy. Autocracy, as we all know, that it is the situation when the ruler has the absolute authority over its subject. And when that ruler specially takes control of the social and economic aspect of the people, then it will be called totalitarianism. And this totalitarianism is possible only when the power is taken by force over the people So we can say that totalitarianism is a type of dictatorship in which the ruler takes control over the social and economic aspects of the people. Now we need to understand the other two terms, that is the tyrant, because it is connected to the term totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a situation, as we have already discussed, in which the ruler takes over the social and economic aspects, control of the social and economic aspects of the people. So he is of very cruel nature. So whenever the ruler is of very cruel nature, he does not consider the choices and the welfare of the people, then he is called a tyrant. The opposite of the term tyrant is the democrat. So, democrat and tyrant are the two types of the nature of the ruler. When the ruler is very cruel, he is called the tyrant, and if he is of the welfare nature, then he is called a democrat. So far, we have discussed monarch, we have talked about dictator, we have talked about a totalitarian ruler. All these rulers can be of two types, whether democrat or a tyrant. Totalitarian type of ruler is always a tyrant, whereas monarch and the dictator can be of either tyrant or of democratic nature. If he is cruel and oppressive, then he will be called a tyrant dictator or a tyrant monarch. But if he is a very welfare oriented and takes into account of the choices and happiness of his subject, then he will be called a democratic type of monarch or a dictator. But when a dictator becomes a tyrant, he will be called a totalitarian type of ruler. Now let's understand these terms in the form of a diagram. The bigger circle represents the rulers who have got absolute authority over its subject, his subject. These are called the autocrats, and they are not answerable to any other authority except for themselves. Therefore, it's called a self rule or the autocrat. It is of two types. One is monarchy, and the second would be the dictatorship. In monarchy, it is the ancient form of autocracy in which people would willingly give power to the ruler to rule over them. Whereas in dictatorship, it is a modern type of autocracy in which the ruler, if he wants to have the absolute authority and does not want to have any accountability towards any other authority, then he has to take power over people by force, and thus he will be called a dictator, and the form of government would be called a dictatorship. Under this dictatorship, there is a type of situation in which the government becomes so obsessive with power that he takes control over the social and economic aspects of the people. Then the form of government would be called totalitarianism, and the ruler will be called totalitarian ruler, and this will be a subtype of dictatorship type of autocracy. So it's clear now through this diagram that how the terms autocracy, monarchy, dictatorship, and totalitarianism is related. The two terms, that is the tyrant and democrats, just represents the nature of these rulers. If they are very cruel in nature, either of these, then he will be called a tyrant, and if he is welfare oriented, then he will be a type of democrat ruler. But this totalitarian type of ruler is always a tyrant. Now we have finished with the lecture, and I hope you will have no doubts regarding what is the meaning of the autocrat, what are the two types of autocrat, autocracy or autocratic type of rulers. In if so, we can say that in ancient type, it will cover monarch and monarchy, and modern type of autocracy will include a dictatorship and a dictator. Now, we also know that what is totalitarian, how is it related to dictatorship, and how is it related to the term autocracy. We also know what are the two natures of the rulers, that is the tyrant and democrat, and we also know that totalitarian is the only type of dictatorship. Here, so far understood, it's a type of dictatorship which is always a tyrant. And other two forms, that is monarchy and dictatorship, may or may not be tyrant or may not be democrat. Any other doubt regarding this concept, please leave a comment in the comment box. I'll try to answer as soon as possible. Thank you.